Good morning.
Morning.
All right, this morning, it's another Thursday morning. The weather looks good, and I think this weekend could be good fishing for anybody that's thinking of going out to the ocean. So, looks like most of our cyclone is over, except the areas that is badly affected and has to be repaired. So that's a bit of a hectic area. But this morning, we're talking about the hardest part of immigration: the parents that are left behind in South Africa. That's a tough one, eh?
It is a tough one.
And we got Penny. Good morning, Penny. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Where are you from?
Originally,
Yep.
Originally I'm from Benoni, Gauteng, and then
You tell
lived in
people that.
Auckland for 15 years. You set me up for that one. Yeah.
And currently, where are you now?
Currently in Christchurch for nearly 2 years and absolutely loving it. Absolutely
All right.
love Christchurch.
You've got parents, mother and father down, still back in South Africa?
Yes, in Cape Town. I've got a mum in Cape Town and a stepdad in Cape Town too, and my brother. And yeah, they sort of, at the moment, they are, one's in hospital and the other one is very frail, and I'm feeling every kilometer between us. Yeah.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
it's really makes it even worse then.
And even if they're not frail, I think they never leave your thoughts. They're always in your thoughts somewhere. Yeah.
So how long have you been in New Zealand now?
17 years, and it doesn't get, that aspect doesn't get easier. That aspect gets harder as they get older. And
And when you left South Africa, how did your parents feel about you immigrating?
Yeah, Jan and I were talking about this a little bit earlier. I think my family was heartbroken, but relieved and happy for us. But I was talking to Jan a bit earlier about how some of my friends who are more traditional Afrikaans families, their families were very harsh on them, and there's some that don't speak to their children because they've immigrated and feel like they've jumped ship and abandoned the land that they fought for. So in a way, some of the English family have it easier than some of the Afrikaans do. I don't know.
Yeah, they're very stoere boere. Yeah. And the thing is with that, when you then struggle to adjust in New Zealand, you don't have anyone to talk to because you can't talk to them in South Africa because they told you so. So then that makes it really hard. Then you've got no one to confide in. That's really bad.
And the whole thing is it's not me and you only that's got parents in South Africa. It's basically everybody that's immigrated that's got parents back down and other family members as well. I mean, I've still got kids down there, and I worry about them as well. So, yeah.
So how many times have you been? Sorry, how many times have you been back to South Africa?
Oh, over the 17 years, I think I've been back 5 or 6 times.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's usually when somebody gets sick that I'll make a plan to get back over.
Yeah. And have they been here? Have they visited you here?
My mother came for my 40th 100 years ago. That was wonderful. And my sister came out twice for a wedding, and then when our grandfather passed away. So that was very special. But yeah, nobody else has been here. That's the other thing, is New Zealand's so far away. Hey, it's not like Perth or something more accessible.
It's a long flight, especially if you get older. It's a really long flight to sit for 22 hours or something. It's not an easy flight.
No.
I can understand that they don't want to come. It's the same with our families.
Yeah. That's a good morning to everybody that joined us. I see quite a few good mornings up here. So, yeah, I think the worst thing about having parents in New Zealand is in South Africa, is the continuous worry that you have from this side. And I mean, for most of us, we probably contribute financially there as well. So that even makes it even worse. You have to work harder here just to help those people back that side as well. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So absolutely. I think, tell us a little bit about how you find being far away from your parents, how it is for you and what you've experienced.
I think personally, when my ex-husband and I left South Africa in 2006, we were, I think, in our early 30s, and we were just so focused on our lives and what we were going to establish and what we were going to build for our children and our future. And I think you have to be, when you come here, you have to be single-minded, and you can't look over your shoulder. And I mean, it's a huge feat for anybody who's done it. It's no mean feat. It's huge.
Yeah.
And but didn't give too much thought about the long-term future. And then as the years roll by, you know, after a decade and then some more, you watch your parents ail, and you realize the distance between you. And I don't think there's ever been a harder time than with COVID, with the lockdowns, when a lot of people I know had parents who had got sick or had passed away, and they couldn't get to them because of the distance, and then the inaccessibility because of COVID.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm finding it harder now than ever, as my parents are really frail and sick, and I would do anything to just pop over and be with them. And then thinking about, even, you know, this is a bit of a morbid topic, but if they did get, you know, on their deathbed,
Yeah.
would I send that money back to them rather to help with any funeral costs or medical costs, or would
Yeah.
I go and be there? It's a tricky topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so easy for other people to judge and say, yeah, it's like you're throwing money at the problem, but
Yeah.
you really don't know what else to do. What can
Yeah.
you do when you're so far away?
Yeah.
It's really hard.
And I think the fact that we are earning dollars, which if you convert that to South African rands is about 11.3, 11.5, that helps a bit from us giving money from this side than being in South Africa. But
Absolutely.
you just can't pop over quick for a quick visit or a hug or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's what makes it probably the worst thing about immigration.
Yeah.
Do you still have siblings in South Africa?
One brother, so he's now running between the two parents, one in Stellenbosch in hospital and the other one in Sunnydale,
Yeah.
close to Norfolk. So all the pressure's on him. So there were three of us. Unfortunately, my sister passed away in October, and I was able to get over to her funeral. But yeah, also that's the other thing in my mind's eye. I just thought when we left South Africa that my sister, who's the eldest, she would take care of everything, because she was very astute and she had her head screwed on right, and she would
And then it didn't work out.
And yeah, life is just unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen around.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you have kids?
I've got two beautiful, wonderful daughters, and I've got three wonderful grandchildren, and that's why I moved to Christchurch to be with them. So every time the immigration thing does get hard, I look at them walking down the street, playing in the best playgrounds that are everywhere, and that makes it worth it, because that's why we did it, was for them. And
that's the thing. You must just remember why you did it. And how old were your kids when you came to New Zealand?
They were 11. They were 9 and 11. So just before it gets very difficult. I think if you bring teenagers over, it can get a lot more difficult.
Yeah. And then the relationship between your children and your parents in South Africa, how did immigration impact on that relationship?
It really did. It really did. You know, I believe that it takes a village to raise a child, and that we're not meant to be living in this global village where people are separated the way that they are. So I think I'm overcompensating myself by being very involved in my grandchildren's lives, because, you know, it's just for a window period. And yeah, you do miss that. If I speak to other South Africans here, they really miss the fact that there's a Oma, because to me, to look after my grandchildren, they doing me a favor. But if you're looking for babysitters from anybody else, you feel like they're doing you the biggest favor.
Yes.
But as a grandparent, you know, I could look after them all the time. I just love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to go back to what you guys were saying, not having anyone to talk to, I actually wanted to thank you guys for opening this platform. I don't know how I actually came across you, somehow on Facebook, but I just felt like
it was meant to be.
Home away from home, because it's the familiar accent and it's talking about relevant topics, and that whole thing about a problem shared is a problem halved. And it takes the sting and the loneliness out of being the immigrant, because as welcoming as New Zealand is, they're wonderful and welcoming. I personally have always felt a little bit like the stepchild, like this is not quite my country, but I am accepted here. So when you speak to other people that have gone through a similar thing or the same thing, it does make it feel easier. So thank
Yeah.
you for what you do.
I just want to read one of the comments that somebody said. Charlene Bosser said, "We created the NZ family for us here to have that inclusion and family feeling that a person is missing out on." And I mean that's what we all do. We get special people in our lives as time goes on. So I've just got a question for you, Penny. Communication back home or back to mum and stepfather. Then, how do you do that, and how often?
WhatsApp is wonderful, and Mum I speak to a few times a day. Stepdad not quite as often, and my brother, because I don't know, he's a boy, he doesn't like to chit chat. So we'll send posts and stuff with each other. But yeah, very grateful for that. Because also going back, I'll just go back to 1858. My great grandfather left the shores of Lancashire and came to New Zealand in 1858. And he was in his early 20s. And I just thought, what a brave young man. And how did he feel and how did his family feel when he left the shores, not knowing, I think it took 6 weeks or 3 months or something to get here, not knowing whether he was even going to survive.
Yeah.
And so having the communication that we've got also definitely takes the sting out of
it makes it a little bit easier.
There's no more letter writing.
Yeah.
That takes 6 months to arrive on the other side. So just somebody saying good morning. My wife video calls her mum every day. It keeps her mum going, and the mum misses traveling with us and support our sons at sport. So yeah.
I think just as difficult as it is for us with the parents there, that's how they feel for not being here. They miss the grandkids and they miss out on a lot of stuff. So I think it goes both ways.
Yeah. This is another one saying, not to be morbid, but I'm guessing if anything happens to our family in New Zealand, it will be just as difficult for our family from South Africa to travel to have some closure. And that's actually a fact. I never thought about it. It goes both ways, basically.
Yeah.
So.
And also, like you were saying earlier, with us immigrating, I think it's slightly easier for the people in South Africa to know that we are safe and happy and we have a good infrastructure here in our country. Than it is for us to think back and worry about, elderly, sick parents with load shedding. And when we left South Africa in 2006, load shedding was not a thing. I didn't think.
No, I don't think. Even when we left, it only started about half an hour a day or something like that.
You sometimes wonder, if you look back now, if you knew what it was going to be like 20 years down the line, if you would have made the same decision.
Yep.
Knowing what it would be like for your parents to be alone, you probably would.
I would.
Because I think when you immigrate, you've got that in the back of your mind. You focusing on what you have to do, but still you're thinking on what will happen to them one day, and it is in the back of your head.
When we left, my father was very ill, and I knew I won't see him again. And he basically died about 3 months after we have arrived in New Zealand. And the first plane I could have gotten back to South Africa would have been about 2 or 3 days after his funeral even. So it was basically useless for me to go. But yeah, so I know we sat one night and had the funeral over WhatsApp. Those days they didn't do the Zoom thing yet, but So
yep.
So somebody saying the platform has helped us tremendously in various ways.
There was that one.
Yep, I'll talk to him later. Charlene Bosser just says, yes, we would have made that choice and twice on a Sunday. That is a fact. Yep.
Yeah. I think if you see where your kids are now and how happy and safe the grandkids are, you know that you've made the right decision.
Vanita was saying something, and I've got to agree with that. She basically said that you need a network in New Zealand for when you get sick and so. And there's a lot of immigrants that doesn't form that network very quickly. And I know it's difficult just to reach out to strange people you've never seen before and so forth. But yep, it's just one of these things. You got to put yourself out there. People won't know that you knew if you don't tell other people you knew. And that's the way to mingle and build up a network that can probably help you even in difficult times. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that is true. But another thing about the South Africans is they are such proud people. You don't tell anyone when you're struggling. You don't say, it's difficult for me at the moment. You just carry on.
Yeah, I see that. I think it has become a bit easier for people to say that they're struggling because Facebook has now made a way that you can do posts anonymously.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Marita just saying we think about our frail parents in SA, but we also need to plan for our own old age.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah. I must say that was one of the reasons why we decided to immigrate. We just knew that we don't want to grow old in South Africa because you in New Zealand, you're free. Old people can get on a bus or can walk with their little strollers down the road or whatever. In South Africa, you can't do that. You're locked behind.
The government gives them bikes, man.
Yeah. So yeah, that was one of the things that we were thinking.
Yeah. My main concern was that by the time all my kids have left South Africa, I'm too old to go. So
yeah.
Yeah.
What happens too? Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
But now slowly but surely we're getting our kids, all of them here. I'm just waiting for one to make up her mind. So
Wonderful.
Let's hope for the best.
Have you ever thought of bringing your parents to New Zealand? Because I think when you came, it was still possible.
Yeah, it was, and yeah, it was a an option for my mum, whose father was born in Auckland. So it was actually my great grandfather that came from Lancashire, and then my grandfather was born in Auckland in 1916. So she got a visa then, but she's actually never had good health. So yeah, it was all just too much for her. But I do love families. Like one of my close friends has got. She came first, and then her sister, and then her brother, and then her other brother, and now both her parents. And it was a mission to get her parents here. It was thousands of dollars, and you know, the rules changing all the time, but they're all here together. And I just think that is an absolute. That's gold.
I think that's that's first prize if you can just have everyone here.
Mariska Viljoen is asking, do you offer funeral cover in SA but can be paid in New Zealand? I probably think she's talking about funeral cover on her parents. I'll get hold of you a bit later, Mariska, so we can organize something like that. Yeah, it's always at the back of my mind about what will happen to them, and you hear so much horror stories coming out of South Africa with older people. And you always hope that it doesn't happen to any of our parents. So, yeah.
And I think probably with you at the moment, knowing that they're sick, you always wonder, should I now go? Or what do I do?
Should I go or should I send them money?
Yeah. It's always a big problem.
They need both. They need your support emotionally, but yeah, a lot of families are struggling over there. And
no, it's always an issue if you've got parents back at home. I mean, we do contribute a bit from our side as well, and I know it makes a big difference for them.
Yeah, but it doesn't compensate for the fact that you're not there. Yeah.
And on that topic, how do you send money? What is the best way to send? TransferWise or World Remit? Or...
You know what? I just do a bank. I just pay it.
Yeah, I've still got an account in South Africa, so I just drop it from that account. Yeah. So
and
it's a bit difficult paying money from New Zealand to South Africa. I've got ways and means to pay money from South Africa to New Zealand easier. But from here to there, I just do bank transfer at the end of the day.
Yeah, I just do that. And I think I pay it's $25 or something extra that you have to pay to do that. But I just do it. It's just the easiest way for me.
Yeah. It's always a difficult thing to do. So, but well.
Can I read something? When I left South Africa, my sister wrote me a beautiful card, and she was just so talented with words. So
yes,
I'd like to share it with everyone. Can I?
Yep.
And I'm sure everybody can relate to this. She said, foolishly, this feels like a death. Perhaps not so foolishly. It is a death of sorts, a death of the casual visit, a death of the unexpected meeting at the mall, and the death of availability. We're on the threshold of a new existence in a way. The pain of not being able to bear witness to the milestones, the pain of empty places at every celebration, the pain of no one understanding the significance like family would. Standing on this threshold is easy to only see the loss, but I know that it is not true loss, only a temporary inaccessibility, because our relationship can never be lost or taken away. It is a part of who we are. It always will be. And I know that with every letter we write or read, we will be instantly together again. Every visit will feel like we had never been apart, and our relationship is as relevant whether we are arm's length away or across continents. You are my sister, I am yours. No one will ever be to you, to me, what you are. I love you as only one sister could love another. Sorry.
No, I'm also in tears.
Yep.
There's those emotions, Jan.
Yeah. And that's it. That, I think the hardest part of immigration is not the amount of money you need. It's not where you are going. I think it's all these emotions before, afterwards, during,
Yeah.
and going the future. So
Yeah, it is really hard.
So
Yeah.
Colleen Bossoff just saying on the other channel, "Oh wow, what a message! So heartfelt and sincere. Really hits home."
Yeah.
So,
you know, when we immigrated, I said to Jan, I actually only realized it maybe a year or two afterwards. I said to him, it is kind of like you are grieving. It's like someone died. It's like a divorce. I said it's like a divorce. It's like you, it is that hard. You've got the same emotions as when someone dies. It is really, it does feel like that.
So,
it does feel like
and
that.
the one problem is a lot of people is not emotionally capable of dealing with it.
Yeah.
So, and then they do stupid things. They hate each other, and they, sad. But there's a different question up here. I think I will probably ask this for you, Penny. Question would go: is it easier to move to New Zealand with young children? We have 2 sons, 5 years and 6 months baby.
Personally, I feel like it would be easier the younger they are, the more easily they integrate. Definitely anything after intermediate school, going on to high school, it is more challenging from what I've seen and heard from other people.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And the thing is, you worry about how your kids will adapt, especially if you're Afrikaans speaking and you bring them 6 years old or however to a new country where they have to speak English. But I have seen how quickly those kids, they just start to speak English like 2 weeks afterwards they are English. You worry you don't have to worry about it.
No.
So it's always a lot of emotions, and sadly enough, emotions rule the world basically.
And you make me laugh.
But it is important to work through that emotions. But you see now, it's been 17 years and that emotion still hits home every time you read that letter from your. And I mean, it's the same for me. I just have to hear what she wrote, and it's
it brings everything back up.
Same. We all go through the same emotions.
So how, the question could be, how do you cope with your emotions?
Pille. You face them, you process them, and having like a platform like this to talk about your emotions is good, because you guys understand it, the listeners understand it. You can't talk to everybody about these sorts of things. And got some terrible advice when I first moved here in 2006. A lot of the locals, like a lot of the Kiwis, would say, now don't just mix with your own people, you need to integrate into all the cultures. And I've got friends of different cultures, but there's nothing quite like your own people. Like every time I go back to South Africa, I think these are my people, they get me. I don't have to apologize for my jokes, I don't have to explain myself.
No, that's true.
And so that makes it It really does
Yeah.
take the sting out of it too. But, thinking about our people that we leave behind, they're saying goodbye to one family. They're saying goodbye to one set of people. We're saying goodbye to hundreds. We're saying goodbye
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
our support structure and our history, and they get to
Yeah.
keep that. In one
Yeah.
aspect, they've got a little easier than we do. So, yeah, I think coming and networking with your own people and
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
focusing on what we're grateful for.
That's true. And I think that's why it is so easy, because I felt like, and I know it's probably selfish, but when we came, it's like everyone back home, their life just went on. They just found new friends and they just went on with, it's like they, okay, did you forget about me now? Totally. Am I just out of the picture now? And it's probably
out of their picture.
I know, but
Yep.
for you, because that's like what you say now. You are alone. You're the one that left everything behind. They just said goodbye to you. Their life just carries on like normal.
Yeah.
So that's another thing you must just bear in mind.
And if you mix, that's my feeling. If I mix with my own people, I do not. You're going to give me COVID or something. You don't need to explain to them really why you've left South Africa. But with any other culture in here, you've got to do a heck of a lot of explaining. And I could always see it doesn't really hit, especially the violence, it doesn't really hit home to them how difficult that is in South Africa. So you later just say, no, it's better opportunities this side. You don't tell them about everything. But if I meet you and you don't ask me, why have you left South Africa? You know.
Exactly.
Yeah. It makes a huge difference. And the thing is, what I found and I think when you came, probably there weren't that many South Africans in New Zealand, probably.
No, and so also didn't quite believe the stories. Like when you tell them some of the stories, because I think a lot of us come here with post-traumatic stress disorder. I think just general life that people get used to living with over there. We come and they're quite aggressive, but we're actually quite defensive because we have to be. You have to watch. You feel like everyone's got an agenda, and it takes a while to adapt and to come out of that mindset. But I usually tell them, I quote my daughter who was 9, my youngest daughter Bianca, after 10 days of being in New Zealand, she woke up one morning and said, Mum, we haven't heard gunshots for a while. And we would just be used to going to sleep, this is in Benoni, hearing gunshots go around, and that was her and our reality. And
it was just normal. It was just everyday life.
Yeah.
It's scary if you think that you got used to that, and that was normal. Yeah, it's not supposed to be like that. I remember I was at a women's breakfast one day, and there was also a lady that said, she was quite new. I think she was here for a year or whatever. And she said, no, she doesn't want to mingle with the South Africans. I don't know why she was at the women's group then, but anyway, she didn't want to mingle because she's not South African anymore. So then I was just like,
she's probably gone back again.
I said to her, but if you're not South African, you don't want to be a South African, you will never be a Kiwi. Even if you've got citizenship and have been here for 30 years, you'll never be a Kiwi. So what are you then? Are you now just hanging? You have to remember where you come from. Yeah. And that in the end, it's good. It's easy to say that when you've been here for a year, but give her 10 years and she'll be longing for that South African relationships.
Yeah.
As a final word, I think I need to tell the people, Penny, that you are an excellent house sitter. Is that the right word there?
Yes.
and a farmer as well.
Yes.
No, Penny, thank you very much. It was lovely to meet you on the air. I'll just pop you out while we say goodbye to the people, but please stay in here. We're going to talk to you afterwards as well.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Guys, that was Penny all the way from Christchurch. So this morning we had a triangle, South Africa, New Zealand. New Zealand was back in Tauranga we are, and Penny in Christchurch. But time has come and gone. So next week, same time, same place. We'll see you there. Stay well.
Enjoy your day.
Yeah, you can also say something then.
I know.
I mean, you normally just talk and talk and talk. So, okay.
I'm still sleeping.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.